Hi everyone, this is Debbie from Project 39 Mini Albums. Today we are going to make the cover for a mini album. And it was developed by Tamra from Country Craft Creations. So anytime I say I'm using the lay flat cover method, you can go and refer to the video and watch how it's done. I'll give you the measurements of whatever the album is that we're making. So the materials I use is, of course, a scoreboard. I'm going to use Art Glitter Designer Dries Clear Adhesive. It has no glitter in it, it's just an adhesive. A stylus to score. Now you may have a bone folder or something that came with your scoreboard. You could use one of these ball stylus as well. I just like this just because it's durable, it never wears down. I don't even know if you can get them anymore, but I do like to use that. A pair of scissors and a bone folder. So that is what I'm going to use to start. I'm going to try not to use score tape because that is how Tamra from Country Craft Creations does most of it. She does use score tape sheets to cover the chipboard. We'll take it from there. If you have large score tape sheets, that would be fabulous. I'll see what I have when we get to that part. But anyhow, the mini album I'm going to make is going to be 6 by 6. So the cover will be 6 by 6 and the hinge will be 6 by 1 3/4. So let's start with measurements for 6 by 6. So to make the lay flat method, you will need, we're going to cover it separately. We're not going to glue pieces together and make one big long piece of paper. So for each of the covers, a front cover and back cover, you'll need one piece of paper 8 by 8. I am using this Artisan cardstock in the craft color, and this is cut 8 by 8. So I'm going to go ahead and put adhesive on the 6 by 6 and we'll reconvene. All right, so I have taken score tape and put it on the back of the cover. It's really important that you get good adhesion on the cover because you don't want any air bubbles on the cover, because that's what the first thing people will look at. The other thing that's important is that you burnish it real well. You don't want any air pockets because you don't want it to separate and dry out and lose its hold. So so cover this as best you can. So something that is sold in Country Craft Creations store is some plastic or acetate spacers. I do not have those. I keep on saying I need to order them and I keep forgetting. So they are 1-inch spacers. That's an inch, right? Yeah. So so I'm putting my 8 by 8 piece of cardstock against the sides, top and side, putting my 1-inch spacers on the side and on the top. I've got my score tape and I'm going to peel that off. And that's the other reason you want to make sure that you burnish real well, is because the better you burnish, the easier it is to take off the score tape. Alright, so now we'll peel off the score tape. And making sure that the spacers and the paper are up against the top and sides. Now I'm going to place this against the side, against the top, and just put it down. And when you do that, you are going to get it's perfectly centered because there's going to be 1 inch around the sides. So once you've done that, I'm going to turn this over and burnish. And now when I burnish, I'm going to make sure I find the edge of my cardstock. And I will take it and fold it and make sure I burnish on the sides, and you'll see why in a second. So I've done top and bottom or side to side. Now we'll do the other two sides. And burnish again. All right, so now do you see on the corner there is a square on all four sides? We're going to cut that out. So just cut out that square. Okay. All right, now that's done. Now what we want to do is, so this is the top, that's the bottom. I'm going to fold over the flap one at a time, take my scissors, and I'm going to actually do a little close-up so you can see what I'm doing. I am going to take my scissors, put it up against the edge of the chipboard, one of the blades, and make a sliver of a cut. Didn't need much on that one. This one needs a little more. Let me see how it's got a little room here. So we need to take the scissors and cut that off. Now I'm going to turn it upside down. So we have the bottom side. And see here, you can see if I put my scissors here, there's some overhang. So I'm going to put the scissors on there and just cut. You can't cut it too short because you've got the scissors on the chipboard. I'm going to put it here and cut, and one more. Alrighty. Let's move all these little slivers. See, there's not much. Just a little bit's coming off of there. So now that we've done that, I'm going to take my glue and I'm going to put some along the side and then cover that. I'm going to grab my bone folder, push it. You see all that glue that's coming out? And I'm going to just push it down. I know it's squirting out and that's okay. So what I keep handy, I say I keep handy, here it is a baby wipe that has been, I just put it under water and just try to get all of the excess fibers out and then let it dry, just air dry. But that's a good way of trying to get all the lint out. And then I use that to help get any excess glue out. So I'm going to do it on this side too. Let me see if I can come in a little bit. So there's big glue there, don't need that. So going around the edge of the chipboard. And then I'll take my bone folder and push it down. I'm just trying to move the glue, especially so it covers the edges. And then I'll use my wipe to get all the excess glue off. I'm going to do it again to the other two sides. So I do like top and bottom or left and right, whatever. I do the two opposites and then I do the other two. Alrighty. This method makes a nice clean, just a more finished edge. Now if you prefer doing the method where you glue two pieces of paper together or tape two pieces of paper together and cover the spine and the two covers all at once, that is fine. Sometimes you'll see I might go back to that method as well, but I suggest you try this. All right, now that I've gotten that, I'm going to take my bone folder and just go against the edge just to get that crisp and clean. Well, crisp, I don't know if it's any cleaner, but crisp. It just helps give your mini album a more professional finished look. All right, that one's done. Now I am going to put this aside and do the other one. I will do that in fast motion, and then we will get to the spine. Okay. All right, now we're going to do the spine. We'll do the spine. We're not going to do this hinge. I'm going to move those aside. And my hinge is 1 3/4. So again, you'll need a piece 1.5 inches bigger on both sides, so 3 inches total. So instead of 1 3/4, you needed 4 3/4, and you still have 1 inch on the top, 1 inch on the bottom. So since it's 6 inches, it'll be 8. So again, that'll be 8 by 4 3/4. And I'm going to just put some score tape on it. So I have an inch piece and I have 3/8 and another 3/8. Burnish it real well. And instead of using, I'm going to use the 1 inch spacer on the top. Instead of using a 1 inch spacer for the bottom, we're going to use one that's 1.5 inches. So put that on the side, 1 inch on the top, and put that up against the top and the side and push it. So I'm done with the spacers. I'm going to move them away. Now you do this a little different than you did the covers. So I'm going to though burnish so I can find the edge and fold it and burnish that and top and bottom. Alright, so now instead of a square, you'll see a triangle, a rectangle, not a triangle, a rectangle. So here, now, again, Tamra from Country Craft Creations has cut out the rectangle and folded it. But she used to use a method where she just made a diagonal cut, and I like that. So I'm going to show you how I do that. I'm going to grab a pencil. So she would cut this out. Instead of doing that, we're going to cut this like that. So we'll do that across from one corner of that rectangle to the other. So we'll do that on all 4 sides. And then I'm going to grab my adhesive, put it here, and also fill in this trapezoid and just simply push the glue there, fold that on there. And I'm not going to push it down yet, I'm going to do this side too. So put the glue right next to the chipboard, fill in the trapezoid, fold it down. I'm going to wipe off any excess. And then I'm going to turn it upside down and take my bone folder and just push. So there's an indentation right here. Now I'm going to take my scissors and I'm going to put it up against the chipboard again and just miter ever so slightly. Do that to this side as well. So the pieces I mitered are just that big, so you're not taking a lot off. Alright, now we're going to grab our scoreboard again. And so for this I'm going to grab a piece of score tape. And so here's our spine. I'm going to take some score tape and put it about 1/4 of an inch away from the edge of the chipboard. I don't want it too close. And let's burnish and burnish. Alright, I'm going to peel off this score tape. I'm going to do the right hand side. Add some glue here in this area that has no adhesive, and run a bead of glue so you're no closer than 1/8 of an inch. You want to stay away from the spine. Now I'm going to take this edge, put it close to the edge of the scoreboard, and take one of my 6x6 pieces and sort of pull it here, keeping it up the top, pulling it over just till it gets right to the edge of the chipboard on the spine piece. Turn it over and burnish it real well. Alright, going to do the same with this side. I'll peel off that score tape. Take the glue and put it on that piece and run a little bead of it. If you put too much, it'll seep and you'll see it. So you want to keep it away from it. Alright, so the top and the sides are both against the edge. Pull this until it drops. Push it down. Then I'll turn it over and burnish. Alright, now it's a little wobbly, but it's pretty. But what we're going to do, just to take out some of that wobbliness, is put a piece of paper on top of here. So, and you could put decorative paper as long as you have a decorative paper that bends, like the Country Craft Creations paper is a great paper to use. So since this is 6 inches, I'm just going to use a scrap, and it is 4 inches. I'm going to cut it 5 and 31/32. In other words, a sliver of an inch smaller, a sliver smaller than 6 inches. And I'll grab my glue. And put that on real well. And I'm going to line this up at the bottom because I can see it best. And then grab my bone folder and burnish. And then I'm going to fold this up and burnish it so it folds nicely, and I'll do the same for this side. And there we go. All right, I'm going to let that dry, and I will work on the hinge. But you can refer back to whatever tutorial you're watching to see how I add the hinge to the page. So that is how I use the Country Craft Creations lay flat method to cover your chipboard for your mini albums. Don't forget to like and subscribe and hit the bell for notifications, and you too can make mini albums this way. And don't forget, if you hit the bell, then you'll know when the next tutorial comes up. So thanks so much for watching. Have a great day.